Four Seasons lost. In Austin, I saw pause. My eyes crawled to a table. Paralyzed by pairwise dice, then a 10 to this heaven slice of an angel wrapped in skin. Throw dice and woes of life. Love deprived, look at her vibe. What's the meaning of life? One subjective paradise. Crystal chandeliers, moments reflected. Often mirrors appear, clear, ready from ear to ear. Craving that radiant grain, rekindle the flame. Closer she draws near. Stay there, remove your underwear, shove it somewhere over there. In paradise, we know our purpose.
Paradise in Paradise. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Unpopular Hour. Of course, I'm your host, Matt Clark, and today we're coming to you from, of course, one of my favorite places, Georgia's Happy Hog, here on Culbertson 715, Culbertson. And we talked about it before how we want to thank Y&B, of course. Let's get that. Y&B, family owned and operated since 1912. The bank that makes things happen. That you want to pre-qualify for any loans, whether that's car, house, refinance, whatever, or construction or commercial, whatever. Just call them at www.ynbok.com. That's www.ynbok.com. And we want to thank them. They are our sponsors for us going out and doing these remotes at minority and black-owned businesses across the city, mainly, of course, on the east side. But we will be doing other businesses on Wednesdays. We're trying to find a woman-owned business to go to. Thought I had one, but they just closed in, well, I'm going to give them a shout out anyway, Stone Sisters. And let's talk to Shelly. And they just closed their in-store dining, and they're only offering pickups. And then, of course, they're in Crest department or Crest grocery stores, and hopefully we're going to expand and get into manufacturing. So I'm really proud of Shelly and what the Stone Sisters are doing there. And by the way, their pizza's fantastic. So they're right there on Broadway, just south of Byron's liquor store, right across from the fire station. They're right there, right by the old Highland Dairy or whatever it was. I think it was Highland Dairy. Anyway, they're right there. If you want to go by, stop by, order some pizza, pick it up, by all means, go do that. It is delicious, and I highly recommend it. Or go by Crest stores. By the way, we will be at Crest on the 18th with my boy Chris Tucker, promoting his new his sauce and his rub. So we'll be doing that, and I want to thank Donna for having us over there at Crest on the 18th. She's asking for a cutout. Not sure if I really want to do a cutout. I mean, me in short shorts, back in the day, I don't know if I want to see that up close in a cutout. We'll see. I haven't decided one way or another, but I guess I probably should get that to her pretty quickly. But anyway, let's get into the show. We're going to start out with the winners, of course. I am wearing my orange and black, because I did go to Oklahoma State, and I am an alumnus, and I mean, my team's lost, but we are going to start with the winners, and that is starting with OU baseball. They came back and beat Florida. Florida had them down. The pitcher was mowing them down, and, Drew Henthorn and I talked about it yesterday from HuskerDrewPicks.com that there was a rain delay. And whether there's a weather delay, it always helps the team that is losing. Always. Well, 90% of the time it does, because the team that's winning or has got emotion, they've got all the momentum. They got everything rolling. That pitcher was just killing OU. They couldn't get anything off of him. He was just mowing them down. And all of a sudden they had the weather delay because of lightning. And then, of course, they came back, and then OU, of course, won dramatically 5-4. So I want to take my hats off. They scored 4 runs in the top of the 8th to win 5-4. So they were down 4-1. And they scored 4 runs in the top of the 8th. I want to take my hat off and say congratulations to the Sooners. They will be playing. I'm going to put that up so that those of you who are interested in that, the College World Series, they're playing in the Super Regional at Virginia Tech. They're playing Virginia Tech Friday at 2 o'clock on ESPNU. That's OU baseball in the Super Regional. And it's their first regional since 2013, I believe, and our first Super Regional since 2013. So we want to wish them good luck to the Sooners, and hopefully they can continue to win. And I mean, like I said, what a great game, what a great comeback for them. At the same time, I want to congratulate the OU women's softball program. And it's so funny is because they were losing yesterday, 7-3. As soon as we came on, we're talking about it, breaking the news on our live stream, talking about how OU was losing. And I said to my boy Drew Henthorn, like I said, Drew Henthorn, or Husker Drew Picks.com. I should have that down by now, you would think. Anyway, I was telling him and saying it on air that, OU's going to beat them by 10 runs. I mean, they're going to try to throw the same picture at them that they threw before the same pitcher. Are you serious? I mean, that's not going to happen. And all you did was angry OU. You made them mad, and you woke up their bats, and they rode them 15-0. And it's so funny. She was just like, hey, run rule 5. And that's exactly what she did. And, of course, she's the one that hit the grand slam to put them over the hump at 15-0 in the 5th. And I'm just like, dude, what? They woke them up. I mean, and let's face it, we talked about this yesterday. I thought that OU women's softball, I thought they were just going to figure, okay, we're playing UCLA. We're going to beat them. Ain't no big deal, And then UCLA said, no, we're not going to lay down. This is college sports, and we do believe we can beat y'all. And they did. But the problem is you have to beat them twice. You have to beat the number one team in the country twice. And they woke up their bats. And, like we've talked about, they're arguably the greatest hitting offensive team in the history of softball, if not one of the best teams in the history of college softball. They've lost 3 games this year. 1 to Texas, which they got that revenge when they beat Texas the other day to send Texas to the losers bracket for Texas to then play us in 2 games, which we'll talk about that here in a minute. And then, of course, they lost to us in the Big 12 championship. And we were just praying and hoping that you could have an all bedlam for the national title. I think that would have been one of the most amazing things that could have ever happened to Oklahoma sports in general, I believe. I believe Oklahoma sports in general, the fact that you would have these 2 teams, 2 universities, roughly 150 miles from each other, going at it head-to-head for the national title. That would have been amazing. And if you think that 12,500 seat facility would have been full, yes, it would have. Would tickets been more than $250? Yes, it would have. I think that it would have been, somewhere $500 to $1,000 a ticket for the good seats, and $250 to $500, probably $500 for standing room only, just for the SRO. So anyway, I want to congratulate the Lady Sooners and their victory. And the way that I don't know if people are familiar with the way that softball works, but they will play game 1 tomorrow night at 7:30, OU versus Texas. And then they will turn around and play the next day for the second game, Thursday, June 9th at 6:30. And then if necessary, game 3 Friday, June 10th at 7:30. Now, the question is, should people go out and watch? I think the Oklahoma fans will be out there because this will be OU's second time winning back-to-back national titles. And then I think there's only been 3 teams. UCLA's done it. Florida's done it. And I think UCLA and Florida have both done it 3 times. So OU would be in their second round of winning it 2 times in a row. So hopefully they can get that done. And I'm looking forward to watching that. I'm not going to go to the game because I didn't go to OU. I mean, I normally do support the Sooners, but Friday night I'll be supporting them via the television, probably sitting on the patio somewhere, smoking a cigar and watching the game. So that's probably what I will do. And those of you know me where I probably will be residing on the Friday night, sitting on the patio watching the game. You probably know where I'll be. And if you guys want to come out and sit with me and support the Sooners, please go ahead and do that. You're more than welcome, because I know there'll be a bunch of Sooner fans at this particular location. So, but if you want to, that's where I'll be. Those of you who know me know where I'll be. Now, let's talk about the losing group. Now, I want to thank all my OU fans, all OU friends, for not sending the poke choke jokes and texts to me. And it's so funny is the only texts that I got were from OSU fans calling it poke choke. Poke choke. Now, in baseball, I gave us a 50-50 chance of beating Arkansas again. God, we came back. We had played 11 hours. I just didn't know how much energy we had. I mean, I wanted to. They are young. Their bodies recover faster. I did have hope that they would come back and that they would have a chance to have enough in the tank to beat Arkansas, but I just wasn't sure. Okay, I just wasn't sure. And ended up happening is that Arkansas beat us, and I'm going to take my hat off to Coach Holliday and the team, and they did well. They played well, but we played better on the road. My boy Randy Wright of YNB, we had talked about this time. They play better on the road than they play at home. So we were almost like wishing that they would have not have gotten a regional, and OU got rewarded for not getting a regional by going to a regional that wasn't that tough. And OU should have breezed through that. And Florida gave them all they wanted because Florida was at home. But OU should have breezed through the regional that they had, but they took care of business nonetheless. Oklahoma State got a chance to play at home. They played Arkansas, which was a tough draw because I don't know if you guys remember, Arkansas was ranked like third or fourth in the country at one time this year. But that being said, I don't care about that. One of my coaches told me a long time ago when we had got a draw and we were going to play this team, and he goes, "What difference does it make when you play them? You got to play them anyway. Why do you care whether it's first round, second round, third round? What does it matter when you play them? You got to play. You got to beat who's in front of you. You can't be worried about who you draw. You got to play them sometime. Now, some people say it's easier if you play easier teams to get you through. I don't necessarily agree with that, and I would disagree with it. Now, my point of view is I'd rather have, if I'm healthy, let's play a tougher schedule. Let's get into it. Let's get mentally tough and understand what the grind is. So to me, I'd rather do that than play a couple of teams that I beat by 40 and then get in a tough game against a team that I'm equally matched with. To me, that's a lot harder to come up with, a lot harder to it's a lot harder for me to get with that and to for me to get my team up and go, hey man, this is be tougher, and it is. So that being said, the Cowboys should have handled their business. They did not. OU did handle their business on the road, and I want to congratulate them. And like I said earlier, if you didn't see it, I'll put this graphic back up on the deal. They play Friday at 2 o'clock on ESPNU. If you want to go watch them, that's where they're playing in Super Regional against Virginia Tech, who's ranked 4th in the country right now. But, the way OU's playing, who knows what they're going to do. The Big 12 champions, they came out and they're on a little bit streak. They're playing really, really well right now. So for them to come back and win in the fashion that they did yesterday, that's going to only give them momentum going against the Hokies. So now for Oklahoma State, Cowgirls softball. We got hosed by having to play at 2 o'clock in the morning last year, I believe it was. They changed the format so that doesn't happen again and give you a day's rest. You're winning, and you give up 3 runs in the 4th and 3 runs in the 5th after being up 5-0. And it all started with errors. You have to take care of the baseball or the softball or the basketball. Turnovers, errors, whatever you want to call them, whatever sport it is, turnovers in basketball and baseball, or turnovers in basketball and football. And then you call errors in baseball. Same thing. You gave Texas momentum. You gave them life. And we've talked about it many times. I talk about it, about being in transition, and you give a team life and believe that they can win the game. And once the team believes they can beat you, because I can promise you being down 5-0, they really didn't have a lot of hope. And we gave them hope, and they came back. And I do believe when I got to Texas about poke choke, that's what they were talking about. My heart goes out to these young ladies because I know how hard it is. We lost to Princeton in the first round, and we were upset. And but quite frankly, we were looking ahead to play Boston College and then go on to play Virginia and Ralph Sampson. So we were looking ahead. There's no question about it. I'm not going to lie and say we weren't. We overlooked them, and it was Princeton. Princeton, really. But, of course, there was no shot clock, and people don't really remember how Princeton played back then. But they passed, and they still beat us by 3 because there was no three-point play with 3 seconds left. They scored to go up 3, and I just, just dribbled all the court. Game was over. There was no way for us to score, no three-point line. My heart goes out to them. I understand how hard it is, especially for the seniors. This is something that you don't get over. The young kids, the younger, the freshmen, the sophomores, the juniors, they have another year. They can come back. They can easily go, okay, let's rerun this. But the seniors I feel sorry for because this was going to sting. You had a chance to do something that would have been iconic. It would have been something that they would have talked about the game or the series of the century type of thing. That's what you potentially would have had against, thank you. I finally got my watermelon sweet tea. I got here a little late to George's. And, of course, it was all gone if you don't get here on time. I keep trying to tell you people about the watermelon sweet tea and how amazing it is. And if you don't get here on time, trust me, I normally get here a little earlier than I did today, but I was running a little late, and I wasn't sure if I was going to come because of the weather, and I didn't necessarily want to get my equipment out in the rain. Excuse me for a second. That's good stuff right there. Good stuff. Remember, George's Happy Hawk. And and after this, after I get done with this speech, I will go ahead and we will talk about George's and how to get here. But anyway, for OSU to lose the way they did up 5-0, basically the game in hand, a couple of errors, Texas got on, they got rolling, and it was over. And it's just like anything else. Once a team momentum swings, it's over. Now, basketball, there's usually 3 momentums. There's a first team that jumps out with some momentum. There's the counter to the momentum, and then there's usually a run at the end, and then it's a question of how do you handle those runs or those momentum swings. And once Texas's bats got hot, you could just see OSU. It just was a complete 180 of what you had saw previous to that. It was like Oklahoma State was here, and all of a sudden they were down. And it was very frustrating. It was heartbreaking to see. But I do believe when my friends were talking about the poke choke, they were discussing Oklahoma State girls and how they just came apart at the end, giving up 6 runs in those 2 innings, almost like what OSU baseball did against Arkansas, being up 10-5, and then in the 7th and 8th inning you give up 11 runs. It was almost an identical situation that cost them when they couldn't get outs. When it was presented to them, when they should have made plays, they could not make plays, and that was the difference. And not making plays and making mental mistakes is always the difference. And there's always a fine line between winning and losing. And some people say it's the finish line, but that's fine. That only works in track. That does not work in basketball, baseball, softball, or any other sport. It's not the finish line. It's what you do. It's the little bitty things in between the lines, the mental mistakes that you make or that you don't make. And those are the things that key. And anyway, I feel sorry for my girls. For the OSU girls, I know that this is a learning experience. This will hurt. But then again, it's an additional motivation because they were almost there. And then it gives you a chance to go, okay, what do we need to work on? What do we need to get better at? And what does each girl need to do? You need to come out all summer, the rest of this summer, and get your butt working on your fielding, working on your positioning, working on your hitting. That's the difference between winning and losing. It's a thin, thin line. And what Oklahoma has done really well, and what they do in softball, is that they continue to make you understand the mentality of who you are, what you represent, and what you're supposed to get done, and the hard work that it takes to be there. I tell my kids all day long, one of my blessings in doing what I do is taking kids who can't play and build them up into players. and then watching that switch just completely flip. That is one of the most rewarding things it is. But as I tell them, getting to the mountaintop is easy. Staying there is what's hard. And what I found is a lot of the kids, as they get better, and as they get to that where they can use their left hand, they can go left, they can go right, they can do floaters, they can do teardrops, reverses, shoot the three, step backs, whatever, fadeaways, they've got spin move, they've got it all. But once they get it, then some of them don't necessarily want to work as hard as they did to stay there. Because it's almost like, well, I'm here now, I got this. Well, no, you don't. This is when you got to work twice as hard, 3 times as hard. And I think OSU Cowgirls, they have to come back and they've got to rethink, what do we do? How do we get it? Where are the mistakes that we made? How do we correct those for next year? And how do we get ourselves over the hump? Because you can just see it. They're getting there, gaining that momentum. And in baseball, on the other side of that, in OSU baseball, it's really simple. You were once here, baseball. Now, getting back to there is a very, very difficult task. And Coach Holliday is getting them there. He's getting them where they need to be. And I believe that they will get there, without question. I believe they'll get there. But OU, on the other side, their baseball, they're rolling. He's got them in the sink. He's got them where they need. He's got them believing. A lot of it is believing. Coach Gundy, Coach B, and basketball and football, he's got the guys believing. But then again, football, what do? They make crucial mistakes that they shouldn't make at crucial situations. Those are things that they have to have traditionally done. When you're supposed to win a national title, you lose to somebody you shouldn't lose by making mistakes or not finishing or not closing the deal. You've got to change the way you think and the way you approach those type of things in order to get past it. And that's what OSU has to do. When I look at Oklahoma State athletics, Coach Holder, well, I call him Coach Holder because he was a golf coach forever, and he built Karsten, which, by the way, if you've never played there, it's a great place to play. He built, and T. Boone Pickens, they say, is T. Boone Pickens? Well, no, you have to hire the right people. And the difference between Constiglione and Holder was very simple. Constiglione, which is the athletic director for University of Oklahoma, hired the best possible coaches to make sure that no matter what sport it was, they achieved the highest level of greatness. OSU did not do that. Holder wasn't about that. He wanted football, and I believe to my dying day, 40 years from now, 50 years from now, whatever that is, that I believe that T. Boone Pickens wanted OSU football to match OU. That's never going to happen. No matter how good OSU football is, they're never going to be regarded as well as OU football. It's not going to happen. Just like OU basketball. No matter what they do and people throw out all these numbers, I'm like, dude, run your mouth all you want to. Nationally, not Oklahoma, nationally is OU football, OSU basketball. Now, OSU basketball is on the downslide and OU's doing better, but it's still not looked at the way OSU can still do good while OU's doing bad. It's still OU football, OSU basketball. And the rest of the sports, yeah, it's cool. You got softball, yeah, it's cool, but softball is a limited number of people. You got gymnastics, limited number of people. Baseball, limited number of people. Wrestling, limited number of people. Golf, limited number of people. Limited. So, man, let's talk about where I'm at today. I'm at George's Happy Hog. Of course, it's over here at 712 Culbertson Drive, just east of Lincoln, south of the Capitol. And if you've been to the Capitol on Lincoln, and just north of the OU Medical Center. Great barbecue. They've got stuff you can buy by the pound. They've got family meals. Now, of course, I usually get my normal, like on Tuesdays, of course, it's they have mac and cheese. I believe it's Tuesdays and Fridays. I know Tuesdays for sure. I think Tuesdays and Fridays they have mac and cheese. I get mac and cheese. I get collard greens. And then my hot links I eat whole. And of course, then after that, I'd have to decide whether I want ribs. Sometimes I get ribs. Sometimes I get chopped beef. Sometimes I get sliced beef. Sometimes I get smoked bologna. Sometimes I get the chicken. And so it just depends on, or in fact, I started because of my girl Tonda Foreman. I started doing the rib ends. And so I eat some rib ends. Their rib ends are very, very meaty here. And so once again, I like that. And I want to thank, of course, YNB, family owned and operated since 1912, the bank that makes things happen. If you want to pre-qualify online for a loan for cars or houses or commercial loans, building houses, whatever you want to do, these guys are people to call. Or you can go online, like I said, at www.ynbok.com. That's www.ynbok.com. I want to thank them for sponsoring our minority and black-owned business remotes that we go to. Of course, we're here, and then we're at the barbershop cutting up 3530 Northeast 36th, just east of Santa Fe on Friday. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to add in a place here too. And then today, which actually yesterday, we were going to go to eat at one of my favorite places and see my boy Bruce Reinhardt over at Rococo's. So next Monday, we're going to slide in there and see my boy Bruce over there because he gave me a nice polo shirt to wear. So I'm going to do that. And I know you guys can't see, but I am wearing my Oklahoma State gear today. So, but then again, okay, so I want to thank my other sponsors, Collaborative Logic and Collaborative Logic. If you've got any IT solutions, those are the people that you want to go to for that. SRB for engineering, surveying, or planning. They are the people that you want to see for that. Contact my boy Mark Long over there. Oak Grove Trucking. If you want to need anything hauled off, my boy Jose is the guy there. And then, of course, holler at my boys Greg and Max and Nafi. I want to appreciate them. They hate being out and getting any love from them. So anyway, I want to thank these people for all their sponsorships. So now let's get into the golf thing, the live golf. Dustin Johnson said he's done with the PGA Tour because they gave him $100 million basically. Ricky Fowler, next guy up. Lee Westwood. All these guys are losing their sponsorships from all the major brands, but at the same time, they don't care because they're going to make $100 million over here. And you're not going to be playing against the best. And what's so funny is, with me, my whole thing with this is all your whole life you dream of playing against the best golfers in the world. But then once you can't beat the best golfers in the world consistently, what do? You go over here where you can make money. You don't have to beat nobody. Now, what Greg Norman is hoping is that all these other guys who are the top golfers, they're going to see and they're going to lose their integrity to come play for you and the money and move to go do that. And it's so funny is the two greatest golfers in the history, they got offered huge deals. Tiger got offered high 9 figures, and he laughed at them. Because, no, I'm here to win titles. I'm here to preserve history. I'm here to make myself the greatest PGA golfer of all time. That's what he's here for. That's what all these guys strive for. Then, of course, everybody's leaving. Now, I hear Ricky Fowler's going to leave. Well, Ricky Fowler can't win on PGA Tour either. So if I'm only going to win $200,000, I might as well go over here where I can win $2 or $3, $4 million. Now, to me, what this is going to do is I don't blame. This is almost like the USFL versus the NFL. You bring all the bigger stars, you give them all this money, and then after it doesn't work, then they want to come back. Well, the difference is the PGA Tour is banning them. If you banned, then when this falls down and goes away and you've won, you've done it for 2 or 3 years, and you made some money, but that's it. Then what you're going to do? Well, I guess they don't care because most of them are damn near going to be retired anyway. And like Dustin Johnson said, well, I got to take care of my family. Yeah, you do, because you can't be first anymore. You're slowly falling down, and you know you're on your way down. You know you are. Now, the question is the Saudi Golf League going to continue to pay $20 million, $30 million for guys who aren't that great of players, who aren't draws? And I was listening to this guy, listen to Colin Cowherd today, and he's talking about, oh, well, I'm going to go out and watch Brooke Kelly, I'm going to watch Dustin Johnson. I don't care about either one of them. I'm not watching them. They ain't going to win. I'm not going there to watch them. I didn't never like Dustin Johnson. I didn't like the type of personality he was. I didn't like the type of guy he is. And this is proof of who he is. Didn't like him, completely see that. I mean, I don't get it. Excuse me, I get it, but I don't get it. Now, the older ones, Sergio and, Phil, like they say, oh, well, Phil won. Well, Phil ain't won it forever. Yeah, he won the PGA. And what he said was true. And then what Colin said was also true about how, the United States deals with China, and then the Olympic Committee went over there, and, we're doing the soccer in, oh, God, my mind just went blank, on the country, I'll think of it just a second. Yeah, but you remember, the IOC is a corrupt organization. They don't care. They're about the money. Just like we went to Russia, they're about the money. That's all they care about is the money. They don't care about whether human rights atrocities. They don't care about none of that. They don't care. So, yeah, they're going to send their players over there. They're going to go over there. Now, granted, I believe in a free and open society. I think you should be able to go where you want, do what you want. But at the same time, don't talk out the side of your mouth, Dustin. Don't talk about, oh, I'm here for the PGA Tour and da-da-da-da-da. And then soon as this thing comes up, they go, okay, here's $100 million when you come play. Oh, yeah, I'm out. Forget the PGA Tour. I'm not going to make that much. I'm never going to make that much money again. And I think he's made, what, a couple $100 million or whatever off the tour? He should be financially set. Now, Phil, we completely understand because of some of the things he's done. And he's got to go out and he's got to make money. We get that. But, until you get the top 5 golfers in the world, right now you got one top guy. And you're going to get Bryson DeChambeau because he's Bryson DeChambeau. He's a weirdo anyway. You can take your butt on and go too. Dustin Johnson, you can go. Now, I'm disappointed in Ricky because he's an OSU guy. But he can't win on the tour anymore. He didn't qualify the U.S. Open. So, yeah, I can see him going over there. All the guys who can't win on the tour are going over there so they can make some money. Now, the question is the guys over here who want to compete, and it's about pride. It's about how good are you. It's about testing yourself. It's about saying and growing up talking about how you want to be on the #1 tour in the world, how you want to play against the best golfers in the world. And then all of a sudden they're offering all this money and this, shark, Greg Norman being the punk that he is, what does he do? He wants to go over there and do the same thing. And I just don't get it. I really don't. Either you want to play against the best, either you want to compete, either you want to measure yourselves against the guys who came before you. That's how you test how good you are. Yeah, you got to. If you're really good and you're testing yourself, you're going to make the money's going to come with winning. And they said half the sites are over here in America. Well, yeah. What country club is not going to take $50 million or $30 million or whatever insane number that they offered them to host a golf tournament? Why would they not do that? And are people going to come? Yeah, some people are going to come. But are they going to have the crowds they had at the PGA? No. Why? Because you don't have anybody going. The question is, how long is the Saudi golf, Live Golf, the Saudis are going to back this 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? How long are they going to go? Because I can promise you that for the most part, the guys on the PGA Tour with integrity who are trying to go, Tiger Woods was their, he was their Jack Nicklaus. And they want to measure themselves against him. Well, Tiger's not playing over there and ain't never played over there. That's about money. That ain't about testing yourself against the people who came before you. That's not about measuring your game against the greats who came before you. That's not what that's about. That's about a paycheck. Instead of you coming and earning your paycheck and then making yourself be put up there and hopefully be in the Golf Hall of Fame because of what you did. Instead of going around, this is a money grab. It's a money grab. It ain't got nothing to do with golfing. And yeah, some people are going to set themselves up, sure. But come on. Did you get in it to make money? Yeah, you're going to make money because you got tons of sponsors. But you really got in it for what? To test yourself against Tiger, against Jack, against Arnie, against Trevino, against Phil Mickelson. Let's throw his props out there. Sam Snead, Byron Nelson, all these older guys. That's what you did. That's why you got into golf. You wanted to test yourself because it's competitive. It's like going to the NBA. You go overseas because you know you ain't good enough to play in the NBA, so you go overseas. Now, can you make an exuberant amount of money over there? Yeah, not as much as you make in the NBA, no, but you're going to make a lot of money, and it's definitely an option. And if you want to play basketball, why wouldn't you do that? Now, these little Corn Ferry tours and all of that, they come up to, these guys play on that, so the opportunity to get to the next level, to get to the league, if that's what you call it, the show, or whatever you want to call the next level of professional in your particular sport. That's what those tours were for, to get those guys ready to play there. But now it's like, hey, you might as well go over there and make a bunch of money, because you're guaranteed $2 million or $3 million, which is what you would get the $2 million in winning the championship. Now the question is, what does the PGA Tour do? Does the PGA Tour raise the amount of money they're paying anybody? And they're playing 4 days, not 3 days. Well, if you're young and everybody else played 4 days, why don't you want to play 4 days? Why do you want to play 3 days? Now you're playing team sports, which is almost like the Ryder Cup, and it's a gimmick. But it's for what? To make money. Greg Norman is trying to do what Jack Nicklaus and Arnie did in 59 or 58 or whatever, when they broke away from the USGA and started the PGA. But the difference is, what they did is they combined it and they moved off and set up a separate tour, but it was a fair tour. Now, is there some things that need to be changed? Sure, there's things you can disagree with. But the PGA, what do they got? They got the best retirement. They make the most money. Those guys retired. They're making millions of dollars. Now they can go on a senior PGA tour. They can continue to make money. But Greg Norman is a shyster. He's coming over there strictly to do what he's going to do. I won't say shyster. Let me rephrase that. Greg Norman is a person who is jealous of the success of the PGA Tour. He's still reminded all the time on his losses and what he did, how he choked, because he was a supreme choker. And so now he wants to set up this league so they can erase all his chokeness. Where you were a choker, you choked. That's in the record. That's not changing. And I believe that the LIV Tour will continue to get these guys who knew they're not going to win on the PGA Tour because the money's good. And if they're offering Ricky Fowler $10 million or $20 million or whatever to come over there and play, yeah, he's going to go over there. He ain't going to make that much money over in the tour. He's done. He shouldn't be. He's trying. But, Ricky, where does that leave you? Because to me, all this says is you have your integrity as a golfer to go over there and play is you no longer are competing for titles. You are no longer competing against the people who came from you to measure yourself against. How good of a golfer were you truly? If you leave and go over there, that tells you how good a golfer you are. Tells you. You should stay in the PGA Tour, play against the guys so you can judge yourself. How are you going to judge yourself? It's like playing in the NBA. You got to play in the NBA to judge yourself. Football, same thing. Remember the ABA came against the NBA. They couldn't make it. What did they do? They finally said, okay, we're going to take these teams. We're going to take this team. USFL wanted to do the same thing, but you had a bunch of greedy owners. Instead of guys who wanted to stick together, you'd have probably absorbed, the NBA, NFL would have probably absorbed a couple of the USFL teams. But the problem is, as long as the big-name players stay where they are, but quite frankly, the PGA is going to have to give more money. They're going to have to offer more money for finishing last or whatever. But they've got to change their system. They're going to have to keep these other players from leaving. Now the top players, they're playing for the right. The Rory McIlroys and those guys, they're playing to measure themselves against the other greats before them. That's their measuring stick. These guys don't have a measuring stick. These guys are going for the money. That's what they're doing. They're going for the money strictly. Dustin Johnson, you ain't going to really win no more than tour. What are you doing? Leave. My boy Ricky Fowler, same thing. Lee Westwood, you're getting guys who aren't really, they're talking about, the top. Those guys can't play. Come on. You're barely ranked because of what you did, blah, blah, blah. You can't play no more. The Scotty Schefflers and those guys of the world, those are the ones who are coming out. Those are the ones who are winning consistently. Those are the ones that are doing stuff. The rest of them, hey, they're just in there. And I see that more and more of those guys who aren't going to know that they're not going to win more than one tournament, if that, or maybe one or two top tens. those are the guys who are going to leave because they know that they're done. So they might as well go over there and make money. Enough of that. I'm going to get off my soapbox about that. Once again, I want to thank everybody for tell you where I'm at. I'm at George's Happy Hog over here at 712 Culbertson Drive. 712 Culbertson Drive. It's fantastic. It is delicious. I'm enjoying it today. I got here a little late. Of course, they were out of my watermelon sweet tea, which I rave about. And fortunately, it made me some more. And then I'm going to have lunch as soon as this is over with. But anyway, man, if you love barbecue, this place is fantastic. Of course, you know, if you like greens, I love greens. Somebody's like, oh, they don't have fried okra. I'm just like, greens versus okra. Greens versus okra. Greens. I'm going to take greens over okra anytime. In fact, I'm going to have me some here just a little bit as soon as I get off the show. But anyway, I want to thank my guys once again at Y&B for their sponsorship, you know, family owned and operated since 1912. The bank that makes things happen, and they definitely do. If you want to pre-qualify for any loan online, you can go ahead at www.ynbok.com. That's www.ynbok.com. It's fantastic. I love it, and I love George's, and I appreciate them for sponsoring. So, now, that being said, now let's get into football. I was listening to Colin Cowherd the other day, and he was talking about, when Aaron Donald last week, I mean, everybody, those are sports. You guys remember what Aaron was talking about. I'm fine if I retire, and, I'm good with it. And it's so funny is that he was like, the best, the number one thing on the Rams is Sean McVay. Yeah, he's the coach. That's probably the most important aspect on the team, no granted. Then Matt Stafford. Yeah, the quarterback is the most valuable player that you have on the team. Oh, and then Cooper Kupp. I'm like, Cooper Kupp? Oh, well, Cooper Kupp, he did something. I said, whoa. First of all, the first person to ever do it was Jerry Rice. Then Shannon Sharp's older brother, Sterling Sharp, which people don't remember even know how good he was the second person. Let me see. Jerry did it in the 90s. Sterling Sharp did it in 92. Then Steve Smith did it in 2005. And then Cooper Kupp 16 years later. So you got to think about it. It was 13 years and then 16 years in between guys. So that shows you that Jerry Rice did it. 2 years later, Sterling Sharp did it. 13 years later, Steve Smith did it. Then 16 years later, Cooper Kupp did it. And they talk about how great I'm like, Cooper Kupp had 1 year. You're going to compare Aaron Donald to Cooper Kupp? Are you serious? Because Cooper Kupp had 1 year, you're going to think he's more valuable than him? Are you nuts? And I've talked about this before, is that anybody can do something for 1 year. Aaron Donald's 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. He's one of only a couple guys who made it to 7 straight Pro Bowls, in their first 8 years. First team. And you're going to say that he's more valuable, or that Cooper Kupp's more valuable? You're an idiot. The most valuable person on any team clearly is the quarterback because he handles the ball every time. But the person that means the most on that Rams team is Aaron Donald. Because without Aaron Donald, you can get Matthew Stafford. I can promise you, if he ain't on that defense at the Rams, it ain't the same. And yes, Cooper Kupp won the MVP, but let's face it, Aaron Donald single-handedly wrecked into the Super Bowl for the Cincinnati Bengals by himself. And had they waited to the end of the game, I don't think anybody would have been upset, and I agree with Shannon Sharp about that. Nobody would have been upset if Aaron Donald won. But for Skip Bayless to say the stuff he said, he cracks me up because anytime anytime Shannon Sharp or Stephen A. would make a comment, Skip starts rocking. Because, the nonsense that he spewts out there, he's getting slammed by the guys on the other side of him because it's BS what he's saying. And he gets mad, you can see him just start rocking. He just cracks me up when he starts rocking. It's like, oh, your little point is getting blown out the water because he goes on stats. Who doesn't think that Aaron Donald is one of the top 3 to 4 defensive linemen in the history of the game? And as far as defensive tackles, to me, there's 2. There's Bob Lilly, and there's Aaron Donald. And then the defensive ends are really simple. That's the greatest of all time in Lawrence Taylor and Reggie White. Those four are unblockable. If those are your defensive linemen, you're in trouble. Now, Mean Joe Green, I would think that he pretty much took Aaron Donald's took Mean Joe Green's place. To me. So when I look at that, that's how I look at it. But for you not to think that he's not the most important player on that team, not the most valuable, but the most important player on the team is Aaron Donald. If you look at the Cowboys, the most valuable player that they got on their team is Dak Prescott. But who is the most important player on that team? Is it Zach Martin? Probably. So every team has the most valuable player, which is clearly has to be your quarterback because they handle the ball almost every snap and they're the ones that dictate points. But your most important player is the person that the other team fears the most and is the person that makes the plays when they need to be made. That's the most important person on the football team. And the most important person on the Rams, without question, is Aaron Donald. There's not even enough for discussion. But the most valuable player clearly is Matt Stafford. So what did the Rams do? They gave Matt Stafford his money. They gave Aaron Donald his money. They gave Jalen his money. And they just gave Bobby Wagner his money. And Cooper Kupp's talking about, yeah, I'm going to get my money. Yeah, he'll get his money, but he ain't $30 million worth. Because to me, bro, come back out and then do that again. Match what you did 1 year, multiple years, then let me pay you. But so far, you've had 1 year. You've been good the other couple, but you've had 1 year. Get your quarterback, that's fine. Hey, you ain't going to get that anymore, and you're a slot receiver. And Skip was trying to compare him to these other guys. The difference between him and the other three, they were wide outs. They weren't slot receivers. They weren't put in the slot. They were out there about themselves. You can't compare and say Cooper Kupp is better than Megatron. That was idiotic for Skip to even try to make that point. He's not better. He's not better than Megatron. Are you crazy? Megatron's a Hall of Famer. Cooper Kupp a Hall of Famer? He had 1 year. A lot of people have 1 year. Give me more than 1 year in any sport. Let me see you do it 3, 4 years. Then I'm going to have respect for you. But you do something for 1 year, I don't care about that. Whoop-de-doo. You did something when nobody expected to see it coming. You had a great year. Okay, now match that. Remember, Aaron Donald's 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. And I promise you, where's Cooper Kupp going to be on this year's top NFL 100? Is he going to be in the top 5? Most feared players? No, he's not going to be in the top 5. So quit trying to give him all his props, Colin and Skip. Stop it. Both of y'all stop it. It's like Tom Brady is not the greatest quarterback of all time because Tom Brady plays in a system where they can't touch you. So I can't put you the greatest quarterback of all time if I can't put my hands on you. Go back and play in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. This is my thing on, and I've said this 1,000 times. The greatest of all time means one thing to me that is undisputable. The greatest of all time means one thing. That is, can you do what you did in any era? That's the greatest of all time. That's when you're the greatest of all time. If you could do what you did in any era, you're the greatest of all time. Tom Brady couldn't do what he did in any era because he wouldn't be 44 and still playing. He is the greatest of this era. He's the greatest winning Super Bowl quarterback of this era because they can't touch him. So I can't give you props, they can't touch him. Sorry. I know that everybody falls in love because he's got 7 championships and they fall. It's like live golf. Same thing. It's about the money. Now it's about winning championships. No, it's about what kind of player you were when they played. And nobody wants to go against it because they want to stay on air. They don't want to piss off the wrong people to say something against Tom Brady. Well, nobody's paying me. I can say what I want. It's my live stream. Anyways, that being said, I want to thank my sponsors, Collaborative Logic. If you have any IT solutions, if you got anything wrong with your computers, you want to call my guys, my Russell, my guy over there at Collaborative Logic. Call my boy Mark Long at SRB for any engineering, surveying, or planning. My boy Jose Fierro, if you got any trucking, need some dump truck stuff done, he is your man. And, of course, Greg and Max Nafee over at NAFCO. And once again, I want to thank Georgia's Happy Hog. Remember, guys, they're at 712 Culbertson Drive. That's if you're going south or north from the OU Medical Center, You can turn left and go into the Homestead, or you can make a right on Culbertson, and you go right up the hill, come to a stop sign, and then just over the hill, George's is on the south side of the road. If you're coming from the state capitol, you go through the stoplight at 18th Street, and then it's 17th, and then it's Culbertson. Once again, you can make a right and go west into the Homestead, or you can make a left and then, come to a stop sign and then go up the hill to Lindsay and then over. And, of course, George's is there, and they have everything you want as far as ribs and watermelon ribs and chicken, smoked chicken. They've got the brisket is fantastic. I switch between chopped and sliced. But, of course, my favorite thing to get is my hot links whole with collard greens, mac and cheese, and, of course, yum yum, my watermelon sweet tea. And I want to thank my guys once again at UConn National, or YNB, the bank that makes things happen, family owned and operated since 1912. Go check them out. They have two locations. They have their main location in UConn. They also have locations in Mustang if you want to go there, or you can go to Peoples, YNB Peoples on 23rd, just west of MacArthur. So go to any of those spots. Tell them that I sent you. I'm going to be coming there soon to do a remote at those locations. So anyway, I want to thank everybody for watching me today on the Unpopular Hour. Once again, I'm your host, Matt Clark, coming to you from Georgia's Happy Hog, and I want to give congratulations out to the OU baseball team for winning. And once again, let me prop that up for you. They play Friday, 2 p.m. on ESPNU against Virginia Tech in the Super Regional. And then, of course, women's softball starts tomorrow, OU versus Texas. And I want to shout out to the OU women's team for handling their business and making me look good. And I said that they would win by 10 runs, and they won by 15. So, anyway, yeah, I'm all OU fans. Like, oh, I'm all your brothers and friends. They were like, oh, yeah, you predicted that right. Yeah, slightly. I was a little off. I said 10. They won by 15. But anyway, I want to wish both of them good luck, and especially tomorrow, the OU game. And then, let's do this. I forgot. Let me get my boy Drew Henthorn. Didn't do his picks today. Let's get those in. Remember the series tomorrow. Right now, Golden State and Boston. Golden State is -4. They're still picked to win the series. The money line is 110. Not a lot of money to be gained there. And, of course, we're going to pick the under 215 in Boston for tomorrow night. Of course, he's got the Braves. -250. My Dodgers -125. He's taking the Rangers, the Texas Rangers, and the Cleveland Indians over 8. The Brewers -105. Then, of course, those Rangers tonight in hockey. So he's taking them. So anyway, once again, thank you for watching and supporting. Right here. If you want to watch any episodes, let me do this. I've got to start doing this. Is mcsportsnetwork.com. You can go on there anytime to my website, mcsports.com. Click on whatever show you want to watch, whether it's the Unpopular Hour with Matt Clark, the Unpopular Hour Women Only Wednesdays, After the Storm, which, of course, is our Thunder breakdown and analysis of Thunder, all things Thunder basketball. And right now, of course, we're talking about the NBA draft, which comes up a week from this, or 2 weeks from Wednesday, or 2 weeks from Thursday, the 23rd. So we will be talking about that. And then please, we also are on YouTube, and we're on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. So by all means, please, if you get a chance, go to YouTube, click on it. Of course, you have to sign in, and then you can search for After the Storm OKC Thunder. It'll pop up. Please subscribe and like the shows, and then also you can go to the Unpopular Hour Matt Clark and search for that, and it'll pop up. And please subscribe and like those. And some of y'all have been doing that, and I appreciate it. And remember, just go to mcsportsnetwork.com. You can pop on that. All the links are right there. You can click on and watch any show. But, please, like I said, go to YouTube and Twitch. Look up the shows. Like I said, Unpopular Hour Matt Clark. It will get you that. After the Storm, OKC Thunder, you can pull that up. Or you can do Women Only Wednesdays as well. So, anyway, I hope everybody has a chance to go out and watch. I appreciate you watching and appreciate your support. Have a